Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to fix your cracked and faded wood trim and turn it into something a little more presentable like this for just the cost of paint. Today we're working on my 2001 BMW 330 Ci. The wood trim is cracked and has seen better days, but today I'm going to show you how to fix it. Here are the tools you're going to need for this project. You're going to need some sandpaper to prep your surfaces for paint, trim tools and screwdrivers to get your dash apart to get to the trim that you want to paint, along with a high build primer to really fill in any imperfections, along with a base coat, and I highly recommend you go with the clear coat to protect your finish so it lasts a long time. Let's get to it. So now we can start taking off these front dash panels. These are the easiest to take off, and we're going to use our little plastic trim removers to just pry up right underneath, and we'll take these off. We have to be careful because there are these clips that hold them on. They have a tendency to snap because they're 15 years old. So let's go nice and slow and hopefully get this off. Alright, one pin down. Now you're going to be tempted to try and rip this off by the part that came out. Don't do it. That's how you snap pins. You're going to want to pry it where every single pin is until it comes out, and pray that you don't snap anything, because that's not ideal. There we go. So you can see they stayed in one piece. You have these little barbs wherever they're inserted into the dash, and these hold the trim on. The first time you take it off, it's going to be rather tight. So now that we have this piece off, we can start working on the rest of these front dash parts, and then the door panels. That's where the fun starts. So let's finish pulling off the front dash trim. Now this trim, if you remember from last time, has a couple of broken clips that haven't yet been replaced, mainly because they're kind of hard to find. So you want to avoid breaking them. And a tip that I have is pry from under the little spokes. Don't pull one spoke up and then rip it off. You want to pry under all the spokes and go as slow as possible, and snapping sounds are generally not good, so you don't want to hear those. So let's work this off. Okay, so don't manhandle this off. Pry the whole thing off. You don't want to break more clips, because you can see how the whole thing just came out because there's no clip on the end. Wonderful. And this is the same deal, and obviously nothing's holding that in because the plastic is old and broken, so you don't want to mess with that. So we have our nexus. If you want to see how I did this, check my last video. Now we can pull the door panels off and get the trim off the door panels. Before we work on the door panels, let's remove the shifter trim. First, pry around the shift boot until the clips disengage. Then lift the shift boot up and out of the way. Loosen the screws that hold the trim down, and be careful not to drop them. Store in a safe place. Pull the shifter trim out, and be sure to disconnect the connectors for the window switches. Remove carefully, don't scratch the trim. Okay, so now the fun part, pulling off these door panels. Now, usually they're screwed in, but because it's German, they're also plastic clips. So you're gonna need your Torx bits. This door has 5 T20 bits, and our plastic trim tool for those clips, and it should be fun.
Begin by removing all the screws that hold the door panel in place. You might have to remove covers with your plastic pry tool to access some of the hidden screws.
Alright, screws are all out. Once you get all the pesky ones out, now it's time to get those clips off. I personally like to start in the corner because it's the easiest and work my way around. Just, take it slow. Don't want to break clips. These are a little easier to find though, so if you do screw up here, not taking off the trim. It's gonna sound like gunfire. As long as you're using these plastic tools and you don't go brute force on anything, you should be fine. Alright, so when you finally get the door panel off, don't forget there's still stuff connected to it. Just disconnect all the connectors. Now we've got our trim removed from the car, sorta.
Now you can remove the rest of your door panels. The car should look pretty bare by this point.
So I've extracted the door panel. Now we've got to just pull off these Torx screws and the trim piece should come right out. Then we can take the rest of the bits off the trim piece, sand it, prime it, paint it, clear it, and then we can stick it back on. At least that's the plan.
It's time to sand the trim and prep for paint. If your trim is in good shape, you can start with 320 grit. If your trim isn't in the best of shape, it would be a good idea to start with coarse paper and work your way up to a finer one. This is especially true if you have pitting or cracks in your trim. If you decide to wet sand, be careful of residual water getting in your paint. One drop will ruin it. When you're done, wipe it down clean from all the sanding dust. Your trim should have a hazy look to it after sanding.
Once you've sanded your trim, it's time to apply the primer. Now, the most important part is to make sure this is smooth. You want to go over this with about 320 grit, wipe it down with a solvent of your choice, and make sure it's smooth. A good way to check is with your hand, just run over like that. If you have any cracks, make sure you pay extra attention and make sure they're smooth after you sand them. If they're not, you're gonna have to sand them more. You can go to a higher grit, or rather a lower grit sandpaper, and work your way up. If that isn't enough, you're gonna have to grab some filler, something like body filler, fill the crack, sand it smooth. The most important part is that it's smooth. Otherwise, it'll show through your paint. The most important part of a paint job is the prep. If it looks like crap now, it's gonna look like crap squared after you paint it. And if you get runs in your primer, then you just want to sand them back and start again. It's okay to get runs in your primer. You do not want to get runs in the color coat. They're annoying to correct because you have to start from scratch, re-primer, and then repaint. So if you're going to screw up on the primer, not on the color.
It's a good idea to warm up your paint in warm water if it's colder out for a better spray. Start by dusting a coat of primer onto your trim, then proceed to do a second and third coat. After it's fully dry, sand with 600 grit, and then move on to the color coat. Remember, no runs. Then, grab your clear, and like everything else, shake well. For best results, you want to have a few heavy coats of clear. If you get runs, a rubbing compound can usually sort them out. Always only do all of this in a well-ventilated area. After everything is dry, your freshly painted trim is ready to be reassembled and go back in the car. Reattach the trim to the door panels using the same Torx screws that we removed earlier. Once the trim is reattached to the door panel can be reinstalled on the car. Be sure to reconnect all the plugs on the back of the door panel. Now it's time to pop all the plastic clips into place and be sure to replace all the screws. After it's on tight, you can put any plastic covers for hidden screws back on. The rest of the trim can then be pushed into place and the new shifter trim reinstalled. A new shift knob from the performance package finishes the trim job with a sleek aluminum accent. That finishes the project. The result is a huge step up from the cracked wood trim and really gives the car a more modern look. If you enjoyed watching, be sure to subscribe. If you liked how it turned out, leave a thumbs up and share this video with your friends if you think they'd like it. If you want to get the scoop of what's going on for future videos, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Those links will be in the description below. Thanks for watching.